beaches, good afternoon and welcome down to the left wing. Today is a pretty stormy, tumultuous day down here at Penguin Beach. And I think the weather very much matches my mood. I think I need to take Eagle's drama alarm crown today because I was really hoping that we would do an awesome weekend at the waterhole with you today. My name is Jax. I'm going to be your naturalist. We have Eagle behind the camera and we had so many plans for you this weekend. So we were hoping to do some teas, but the weather is not allowing for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to be out here as long as we can without the rain coming in and ruining our fun. And then we are hoping that tomorrow we can do a weekend at the waterhole like we planned. So you can see the weather is super stormy. We had just a touch of sun a bit earlier on. And we are a live show, so please do scan the QR code if you'd like to chat to us, or you could submit questions and comments and stories on our website. Let's go have a look at the weather forecast to see if it matches what we're seeing on the ground. I need to accept the fact that we are not doing the weekend at the waterhole just as I wanted, but I am going to turn my chair around and have a look. Seem to be having a very lazy Saturday afternoon with the storm coming in. And Eagle wants to start off today's show watching the waves and watching the wind as it blows some of the sea spray back towards the ocean. It's always such a beautiful sight when a wave breaks and part of it is blown back, especially if you're standing behind the wave. So the wave was breaking on a reef system there, and Eagles managed to find exactly what I was talking about. I think that's exactly why they call them white horses. It looks exactly like a horse's mane as the spray blows back.
So it's the weekend, and what better way to spend a day than sat near one of these wonderful waterholes?
So get yourself some snacks and a hat and come and join us for the weekend at a watering hole.
So for the days the 9th and the 10th of July, our teams here at WildEarth from across Southern Africa are going to be spending quality time at a number of waterholes.
We will see you there.
See you there.
So we are spending our weekend at the waterhole, at the largest waterhole on the planet. The ocean covers most of our planet. And we are situated on the Atlantic Ocean here. So if you go just about two hours east, you're going to get to the area where the Indian and the Atlantic Ocean come together and they meet, but it's not hot on one side and cold on the other side. All the way from Cape Point to about Port Elizabeth is what we call a convergence zone, so it's warm and cold water mixing. And so this is the temperate sea province of South Africa. We have a subtropical province, a cold water province, so I'd say that penguins definitely prefer the colder weather. I think that they are so well insulated that I think that the warm weather can sometimes make them a bit uncomfortable. They do sometimes look a bit chilly. So if you look at them today, a lot of them are, a bit huddled up. So they've got their flippers very tightly against their bodies. But I'd say they definitely prefer the cooler temperatures. I think that works a lot better for them than warm temperatures. And I actually want to challenge Igor because we had an unanswered question that Byron handed over to me from Moonbeam Smith about penguin eyes. So I want to challenge Igor to find us a penguin with its eyes open.
You want me to find a penguin with eyes?
With eyes, and the eyes have to be open. So it's two things for you to find today, Igor. Igor wants to know if he needs to find a penguin with eyes. But I think he's not going to struggle too much with that. So penguins can see very well both on land and in the water. So we're trying to get a look at the penguin's eyes. And what's very interesting is that we have sort of a roundish shaped pupil. I don't know if I'm asking too much of Igor and the penguins here, but if you have a very close look at the pupil of a penguin, they actually have a bit of a star-shaped pupil, and that's to allow for more light to be let into the eye, which allows them to see in the depths where they hunt. So penguins have great eyesight, so they can see on land, they can see under the water. They do have color vision, although penguins cannot see red. But red is quite a useless color for sea animals. Oh, so we might have a bit of trouble on the seashore, so we're going to perhaps take a break from the penguins and that thought. We've got another Egyptian geese war brewing. So we'll just see what they're doing. If the war goes cold, then we will go back to the penguins. So Egyptian geese are very fighty at the moment. So penguins have, I believe their eyes are brown. I'm trying to think of a photo I took where you could actually see the pupil really nicely. So they've got kind of a brownish color to their eye, and then they've got very small pupils when you actually have a look at them. But the pupils are star-shaped. The war has gone cold, so we're going to go have a look and see if we can look at a penguin eye once again. And penguins don't really need to be able to see anything in the red spectrum of colors, because red is the very first color that you lose when you go underwater. If you ever do your scuba diving courses, they will teach you that. So I think you lose red as early as 10 meters, hey?
You start to lose red as early as 10 meters.
Yeah, so you start to lose the color of red as early as 10 meters. And so most sea animals, we believe, actually see in a more of a spectrum of blues and greens. But what's incredible is penguins have very strong muscles inside the eye, and they're actually able to change, is it the shape of the cornea? I believe it's the cornea, where they can actually, the lens, yes, sorry, they change the shape of the lens and they adjust the lens, whether they are above or below the water, which allows them to see well both on land.
Wait, can I give us a bit of a demo?
And under the water. Igor is asking a question.
Sure, well,
let me stand up so you can hear.
So I have a camera right here. So if we think about how we see underwater, it looks something like this, right? So the camera is completely out of focus, and that's generally what happens to our eye, because our eye is not designed to see underwater. The shape of our eye isn't right. We don't have the right muscles in our eye. But penguins can see in crisp HD underwater. And then when they go on land, you'd expect them once again to go out of focus. But because they have this adapted lens with special eye muscles, they can actually change, or a softened lens, so they can change the shape of their lens, basically having really, really, really good autofocus in their eyes for both on land and underwater, which I just thought is really cool. I wish my camera had good autofocus like that.
So I think Igor has given us an excellent explanation.
WildEarth have really inspired me to return to South Africa after having followed so many beautiful characters. This Ticket to Dream has given me a great opportunity to meet the WildEarth team, which I thank. They're all amazing. I love all of the characters, but I do have a particular passion for leopards. It's a dream, and as I said before, I just keep on pinching myself. Am I really here?
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
It's an oyster catcher as well.
So we have an African black oyster catcher close to us. I think we're going to go have a look at that oyster catcher. I'm having a look in the deep sea, and there looks to be a lot of bird activity. It's very far away, so I'm not sure we'd be able to capture it on our camera. Sometimes what does happen is that in stormy seas, the fish are pushed closer to the shoreline, which then brings the birds closer to us. And I think it's not going to rain. The sky is now opened up, so we could have actually set up our picnic. But I think if we'd brought everything down here, it would have most certainly rained. And I think you learn to laugh at things like that in life. Things don't tend to really go the way that we plan, and I think learning to laugh about it, even if it does get us a bit grumpy at the beginning. Igor's laughing because I've been very grumpy about it this morning. Eventually laughing about it is all we can do, really. We've got some beautiful sunshine coming out, and I do love it when we have sunshine. I just want us to take a wider view because these colors are so beautiful, because we've got some dark blues in the sky, and then we've got a very turquoise looking ocean. Lover, I believe that all animals have a sense when bad weather is coming in. I know that whales certainly leave shallow bays, so I don't think I could prove it. I don't know if there's a scientific article about it, but I mean, I think a lot of animals do sense a change in pressure. I think that that's something that, and I actually know some people who particularly people with low blood pressure, that can sometimes actually feel a change, not a change in pressure, but they tend to feel a little bit worse when the weather is not quite as nice. So I think that they certainly pick up on weather changes, and I think that they do go out and feed in storms. That was a question that was coming up fairly recently, about a month ago, and we've been down here every day, and you do see them coming back in really stormy weather. So I think that is something that they do, but I think animals can pick up on changes. I think that they know when there's going to be storms. We spoke also about earthquakes, and if there are. Oh, is that the guy with the white feathers? No.
Yes. Well, maybe some white feathers, I'm not sure.
So the oyster catcher has just flown away.
Or one of them.
One of them? Oh, we've still got another one around. So we're going to go have a look at the oyster catcher, who's in between the rocks at the moment. But just to finish my thoughts, there was a question about earthquakes, and animals can not only sense, but they also hear sometimes the movement, and as the fault lines are colliding, they can hear the noise, and apparently for whales and dolphins it can actually chase them away. So humans have primarily 5 senses. But I do think animals I do believe that animals have a 6th sense for picking up changes, I think, in their environment, and picking up threats, picking up when things are not right, so that they're able to adapt their behavior towards it.
Hi, I am David. I come to you live from the Mana Triangle, all the way from Kenya.
This is not a postcard. This is real. Sunrise in the beautiful Masai Mara.
Here on WildEarth, we love it when you interact with our guides while they are live. In order to do this, you must head over to wildearth.tv/questions and submit your questions, comments, and suggestions. Simple as that. And to make it even simpler, from time to time, you will see a QR code on your screen. Open your camera phone and scan this code, and it will take you straight to where you need to be. We look forward to answering your questions on this channel.
So I have brought my camping chair down here to Stony Point, and if I don't sit in it now, it's going to blow away. So I'm confined to sitting at this waterhole. And it is quite a nice thing sometimes to be lower down on the ground. I find, especially if I've got my camera out, it's nice to shoot from lower angles. I think you sometimes get a very different perspective. And Igor and I were joking the other day about a penguin's eye view and actually setting up the camera at the height of what a penguin would be, at a height of about 60 centimeters. But we are not looking at penguins, we are looking at the browns.
Browns?
Oh, it's not the browns, sorry. That's embarrassing. We're looking at the crazy eights. So Sinak, to my knowledge, Egyptian geese are monogamous, so I think it's likely that they're only going to mate with one female goose in a season and raise chicks with only one goose, because different animals have different mating strategies, and often animals that are mating with several different females are not involved in the parental care of their young, where to a degree your male Egyptian goose is very responsible for protecting the young against predators and threats. They often walk in front of the chicks, especially in the early stages. So I think that in a mating season they're likely to only mate with one bird. They would have their females, they would establish a partnership, and then they would stay with her. I think just like penguins, sometimes monogamous relationships end and then they will find themselves another partner. But it is very interesting how different animals, and even within the same grouping, different birds have different mating strategies. It's all really what works for an individual. Most seabirds, I think, show us that monogamy has been very successful for them. So most seabirds will establish a monogamous pair, and they put a lot of effort into raising their young, as do Egyptian geese. And I believe that this is why Egyptian geese are so successful. And I think the crazy eights are feeling the cold a lot more than what our penguins would be. So you can see that they've got their bills tucked into their feathers. And can you get the feathers of that one goose just blowing in the wind to show you how windy it is down here today? Devlin, it is lovely that they've been in the left wing almost every day recently. I think they're spending more time here. They wouldn't be able to fit in their nest at current, I don't think. So I think that they spend most of their day here, but they must go home to their nest. And their nest is somewhere behind Jacuzzi. We've never actually found the location because it's in the colony, so we're not allowed to go there.
The Masai Mara in Kenya, a remote landscape where wilderness reigns. Its inspirational beauty captivates the hearts of many around the world. This year, from August, WildEarth is leading a number of unique expeditions to follow Africa's greatest wildebeest migration here in the Masai Mara. And now, the remaining places have been discounted by 20%. Head over to our website to find out. Here at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited safari guide training with courses tailored for the African safari lodge industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
So we have lost the sun again. Luckily it looks like the rain is still keeping away. And we're still watching the Crazy Eights, who are just having a lovely nap down here on the seashore. And to the left of us we have 3 Egyptian geese, and I think some of the geese are trying to actually establish their monogamous pairs. So there's one lone goose that we're looking at. The males do tend to fight for territory, so it seems it's calmed once again. Once they have fledged, and if they were to come back, then I think they might, especially if it was the next breeding season and they had chicks around. I think that they might do that. But for now, I think they're still very comfortable having the chicks around. And so I think only once the chicks are a little bit older, and as the chicks want to, make this area their own, that's when it might become a little bit more territorial. But for now, I think they'd happily still have the chicks in the area. And what I want to do is, the wind is gusting quite a lot now. I want Igor to film the wind on the water, because you can actually see the wind blowing the water backwards, which is really cool. So as I've said that, we've had a lull in the waves, so we're not going to be able to show it as well as what we want to. Oh, Igor says you can see it really nicely. So you have your wind speed, which could be about 20 knots, but your gusts are much stronger moments, and I think anyone who's ever been out in the wind can identify with this. Sometimes you're standing fairly steadily and then you're caught by surprise with just how strong the wind is. Oh, and it looks like we have a little cormorant who has joined in on the party, and as I mentioned that, the cormorant has decided to go as far away as possible, so we're not going to be able to put that cormorant on camera. There was a crown cormorant who was feeding in the intertidal zone. I might want to go have a look at one penguin who was giving us a very cute little waddle. So he's in between the Egyptian geese. I think he might have just arrived back from the sea. So the waves are actually created by the wind. So that's a really cool observation. So waves are created by wind, but not the wind that we have blowing along the coast here. So the wind that's blowing down in sub-Antarctica is blowing in gale force at the moment during the winter months, and so the winds blowing down there will create swell that then ends up along the coast of South Africa. So that's actually maybe something that we don't really talk about. So let's go have a look at the difference between swell and wave today, should we? So swell is caused by the wind blowing thousands of kilometers away. So swell is what Igor is going to be showing you now. So it's the bumpy, fun stuff that you ride on when you go out to sea, where you go up and down. And then a wave is when a swell breaks. So a wave is when you can actually see that white crest curve over. So swell is something that you'll see out in the deep. And waves are most often seen along the shoreline. And if ever you do see a wave out in slightly deeper water, that is very indicative of either a reef, or you might have a shipwreck, you might have a rock pinnacle.
It's time to put your feet up after a long week. WildEarth invites you to unwind with a weekend at the Waterhole, our life source of the bush, home to so much joy and danger. Join us on the 9th and 10th of July to get your wildlife refill broadcasted to you live all weekend at the Waterhole. WildEarth's weekend at the Waterhole is going to be epic, and we want to make sure that you are kitted out for the occasion. We've launched some wonderful merchandise just for you. Are you a dam cam lover? Find these and more on our website. So get your snacks ready, put your feet up, and join us for a weekend at the Waterhole.
So I was just saying, wherever there's rocks, it's a really good idea to try to not approach it, whether you be swimming or on a kayak, on a boat. So I was saying that if I had to hop into the water here, I would never go just over the left wing on all these rocks. You would get really badly hurt. So wherever you have sort of a sandy beach and a bit of a gap in the rocks and the kelp is where I would hop into the water for a swim, or I would launch a kayak, launch a boat. And kelp is a really good indicator. Wherever there's kelp, there has to be a rock beneath it. You can't have kelp without a rocky surface below. Lisa, so sometimes the penguins get caught by the waves, and then they do get bashed around a touch, but I think because their bodies are built the way that they're built, it doesn't really hurt them very much. I'd say very much the same thing for seals. Sometimes they get hit by waves. I've seen when the crazy eights were still really small, they were like 1 or 2 days old, and the parents took them out in some waves, and it was really cute but really sad to see, because the wave would come and it would just scatter all the crazy eights because they'd be pushed towards the rocks. But I think most sea animals and shore animals are very used to the waves. Sometimes when you have high wave action, particularly in summer, it's not very good for things like your black oyster catchers and your white-fronted plovers, because they breed on the shoreline and sometimes their nests are washed away. But for the most part, I think sea animals are very well adapted to dealing with wave action. And the Egyptian geese who have colonized the area have also adapted to living and spending time on the seashore. I'm going to ask Igor what he feels like looking at. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to have a closer look at today?
I would have loved to spend a bit more time with the oyster catchers, but I think they may have given us the slip.
So it's funny, we haven't been having all that many oyster catcher sightings here in the left wing. I think it might be down to them having exploited pits. I think they might be giving the area a bit of a break, and we'll hopefully have them around in times to come. It would be interesting to see actually if they are more prominent in summer than they are in winter here. This is our first year of Penguin Beach, and it takes quite a while for you to start picking up those patterns of where you see animals at what time. I think we should have a close look at our penguins on the seashore and see if they're doing anything. Looks like we've got some mating action, so I think a lot of the penguins are starting to, he's just slid off her. I think a lot of the penguins are starting to get ready to relay. So you can see the allopreening, so the male and the female penguin are cleaning each other. I don't know if they actually got to mate, because he slipped off her, but now she is trying to preen him. So it seems that you lost us for just a few seconds, so we are very sorry about that. I'm going to put it down to the windy conditions here, which really mess around with our signal. So we will hopefully not be having that happen again. I want us to go have a look at this. He's got his back turned to us now, but you see this juvenile who's molting. I think he's... Oh, there's the pied kingfisher! There he is! So... now he's going... I think we're not going to have him. Hopefully he might come back around if we're lucky. Igor has never had the pied kingfisher on any of his shows.
Penguin Beach.
On any of his Penguin Beach shows. Very exciting. We saw this pied sorry, it seems that the wind is starting to play around with our signal, so if you lose us, we will try to get ourselves back as quickly as possible, but that is very much the nature of this area. I find it very interesting that we're not really getting the rain coming in. We've got all the other conditions that are perfect for the Cape Storm.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
So it's the weekend, and what better way to spend a day than sat near one of these wonderful waterholes?
So get yourself some snacks and a hat and come and join us for the weekend at a watering hole.
So for the days the 9th and the 10th of July, our teams here at WildEarth from across Southern Africa are going to be spending quality time at a number of waterholes.
We will see you there.
See you there.
I'm just having a look out to see if we can find anything in the open ocean. It's very hard to spot animals when you have lots of white water. It's always good to have a look nonetheless. And we've got a touch of sunshine coming out now, so we can give you a view of the beautiful colours that we have down here when it is stormy. The lovely thing here is that you can see the cloud banks rolling in because they're always coming in from the ocean. So if we look where we are, if you look towards Gansbaai is almost south. So just behind Gansbaai, the mountain, you would have Dyer Island. So Gansbaai is the very last mountain. I think Igor's showing you Horston Mountain, which would be more towards the east. And then if you look towards Gansbaai, that would be almost south, just a bit past Gansbaai. So I have to use my old landmarks. Dyer Island is just behind that mountain. And most of our weather is coming in from the south. It's coming in from the Southern Ocean. So you can see the weather rolling in over the bays. I think we should go have a closer look at Cormorant Cove and see what our cormorants are doing. I think there's several who are coming into land. And the Cape cormorants can fly in very windy conditions. Many of them are just taking it easy today. And this week we are going to be talking about rocks. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a look out for all three different types of rocks. So you get igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic rocks. And we're going to see what we can find in this area. And I believe that the rocks that we have at Cormorant Cove and in front of us are quartzite rocks, which would be a metamorphic rock. So when sandstone undergoes changes, then it can become quartzite, and I'm very sorry if you can hear a very loud noise in the background. It is a truck that is what we call a honeysucker here, so you're just going to hear it for some time, and I really hope that it will head off fairly soon. The wind is blowing from behind us, so we can hear very well anything that's coming from behind.
We want to make it even easier for you to interact with our guides whilst watching WildEarth. When you see a QR code like this pop up on your screen, then open your phone camera, point it at the code, and you will be taken directly to our question page. Simple as that. Then you can let us know what you want to see, ask questions, and much more.
I've had it before where I've been walking and a waterbuck's jumped out of the grass. It's quite a frightening experience.
WildEarth, it's in your nature.
lying on the floor just to give you a closer listen to the frogs, as we have those lovely human noises in the background that we're trying to disguise. And last night at Byron's house, Byron made me stand out in the cold because he wanted to tell me or show me the difference between the Cape Cuckoo frog and the clicking stream frogs, because months ago when we didn't know what frogs we had here, we had Flippy saying it was the Cape Cuckoo frog, and Byron was very happy that he had the right answer. And I think these clicking stream frogs are going to click all throughout our winter months, which is quite cool. This is their breeding season here. Up in Djuma, they would breed in the summer months, so they always breed in the wet season. And where I'm laying is actually where the otters always hang out, so I can actually smell all the discarded shells, which is maybe not the best place to lay down. So it smells like crumpled up shellfish. Kingfisher behind you! Kingfisher behind you! Jasmine, sorry, I've just taken you away because the pied kingfisher is behind us. And Jasmine, I do wish quite often that you guys were down here with us at Penguin Beach. It is lovely just to lay in the grass at times and look up and look at the clouds. But we're looking for that pied kingfisher who's just disappeared. I hope we got some nice close views of him. Has he disappeared again, Eagle? I've been hiding behind the living wall, so I couldn't see where he went. So where I've been laying, there's actually a fresh deposit of thrown up shell from the otters. I'm going to bring that a bit closer. Igor says he's coming to me. He's going to come have a look. So if you would want to see otters here, if you want to find these animals, the best thing to do is actually to have a look at where they often hang out, and then to come here at dusk and dawn. So Eagle's coming a little bit closer to have a look. And if you look over here, it's in between the grass. So they would lie here and they'd like to eat their food, and then they might hang out, they might play, and then they regurgitate all of the shelly bits. So there's no point in them eating that. I think it might cause some really bad stomach pains. And so they'll just throw that up. And it almost becomes a bit like a midden. I wouldn't say that this is a territory thing at all. I'm not sure otters really fight over territory. You just break it apart and see. Not sure what that would be from. Some hairy bits in there. But this is a fresh deposit because we've had quite a lot of rain recently. And so I'm just going to open it up for you. So I'd say this is all pretty fresh, and it's still got a smell to it. As time goes by, other animals will move past here, that will break it apart, and the sun will bleach it. So the sun would bleach the color out, and you'd lose the odor completely.
So what can you see in there?
To me, this is looking like a lot of lobster. And I actually smelt this before. I smelt something fresh, and then I had a look around to see what I could find. So I'd say, I mean, this confuses me, these little bits.
That's lobster.
But that is lobster. It's very curly. Almost looks like wings. I think they must eat a lot of lobster, either in this area. You know, I don't know. I think they like shy sharks, they like fish. But if I think about it, lobster might be one of the easiest things for them to actually catch. And it was very funny. I was once very lucky to be in the water with an otter, and I watched her kind of go in the kelp forest, and they do go in between all the little crevices, and she was very curious, so she was interacting with me, and it was almost like she wanted me to go down and have a look with her in the crevices. And there are some places in the world where historically humans and otters would hunt together. But I would say, looking at all the, it's not scat, it's regurgitation that we have here, I'd say that a lobster is very easy prey for them, because they don't move very fast where fish and shy sharks would. I think they're very succulent, they're very lovely for them to eat. And this is in part why crabs evolved differently from lobsters. So lobsters have a very nice fat tail that's very easy for animals like otters to catch. And I'd show you a tail, but all we have are fragments in here. And crab bits would look fairly similar, so they could be, it's actually still wet, check at that. So this must be, do you think those are eggs? Have a look there. I think these are lobster eggs from under the tail. Do you think I'm right?
Let me just have a look. Yeah. I do think so.
I think we might have some lobster eggs for you, Penguin Beaches. They are absolutely tiny. Are we able to get that on the camera? That is so cool. So they do keep their eggs underneath their tails. These are absolutely minute, so I don't know if they are fully formed yet.
I still can't believe the amount of oxpeckers on this poor hippopotamus. It's almost more oxpecker than skin at the moment. They do seem to be retreating now, it's heading into the water. Maybe that's what you should have done first there. Wow, they really are. That was an effective method there, hippopotamus. Well done. And oh, they go.
More. Hold it like that. So very cool. Igor and I have found our first lobster eggs on the show in the form of tail bits and bobs left by some Cape clawless otters who frequent this path and like to regurgitate all the shells of their prey here. So I came to lay with the frogs and I picked up on a very strong fishy smell. And I think this is from last night, so that's a really cool thing. So this would be the tail bit of the lobster, and it's quite sad because lobsters are actually endangered, and so you'd want to have a lot more baby lobsters establishing themselves, but otters have to eat too. And so, you know, that is the circle of life. And very cool to have bits. You can see it is a spiny lobster, the Cape rock lobster that we'd have here. You can see the spiny bits left over. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying it as much as what we are. So I'm glad I came to lay with the frogs. And it's often how things happen in nature is you just, I think And I think for me that was the fun of the waterhole show, is sometimes you just let things happen. Sometimes you establish yourself in a spot, and the longer you spend there, the more you notice your smells, you notice what you're seeing, and that's when you become really in tune with nature and you start to see the really small signs. And I was chatting to somebody about that yesterday, because they were asking me, you know, how do you start to know these things? It was my Uber driver, and you know, he actually watches WildEarth, funny enough, and he was just asking, like, how can you tell an animal's behavior? How do you know what the animal's going to do? How do you know you're safe around an animal? You know, how do you pick up on all of this? And it's all about sitting and watching and observing and noticing, and then noticing the same thing again and again until eventually you know that, okay, that's what that animal does. You know, the otters come and they sit here and they regurgitate here, so that must be their post-hunt activity, and that's what it is. If you're wondering, you know, how do you become a naturalist? How do I become closer to nature and connected? It's about sitting and watching and interpreting with an open mind, being curious about what you're seeing. So Igor's getting comfortable in the flowers himself. I'm actually going to start picking up. I'm going to see if there's anything else that's really cool in here. I think that's a leg that I've just really torn apart. There's a bit of a leg. James, you're asking what fox species would be found here. None to my knowledge. The Cape fox is an animal that, you know, by the name Cape, you would think would have in the area. Oh, frog. So, frogs and foxes, two different things. So the clicking stream frogs seem to be the most common. We had at Byron's house yesterday the Cape Kako, but that was on the actual, sort of on the bog, on the marsh. So here I think only the clicking stream frogs, just because I think any little bit of water and they will establish themselves. Here I would say the only one that you hear is the clicking stream frog. Perhaps the arum lily frog might hang out, but I'm not entirely sure because I've not seen one yet. But I think I want to go back and dig and have a look to see what else we might be able to find in this otter regurgitation. See if there's anything cool. So cool that we got the eggs. Really enjoyed that. Let's see. This is all very wet and very fresh, and it didn't rain too much yet, so it's interesting that you don't see any fish bones in any of these regurgitations. So I wonder if the stomach, if bone, it must be much easier to digest than the carapace of the lobster. And these lobsters are crustaceans. They're related to the beach hoppers and the sea staters that we had on the show the other day. So I think that was very cool. I think we might go back to our penguins after this. What do you think?
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
We have only 5 minutes left today, and then you are going to be going over to Cedric and Tess and Chris and Rolf, and everybody's got plans for this afternoon. Cedric is living his best waterhole life. Tess is going to be following up on the lions that she got to see this morning. Chris is going to start off at Leopard Dam, and Rolf is, of course, on the water holes having a look. I was having a look at the camera in Etosha. Some elephants around yesterday, so hopefully everybody's going to have a great waterhole session this afternoon. And please do let the safari team know where your favorite waterhole is, be it one that you see on WildEarth or one that you visited in person. You can send them your favorite waterhole stories.
Jax, do you have a favorite waterhole that they frequent on the live safaris?
Nothing that I can, there's not a single dam that I can think of now that I would say I really enjoy. Do you have one?
I'd say Chitwa Dam. It never disappoints. There's always something happening there. You just get blown over by the wind.
Yeah. So Igor's saying Chitwa is his favorite dam.
Or Gari Dam.
Or Gari Dam over at Djuma. I've never compared them, so I've never.
Yeah, sorry.
I've never really looked at them in that way to see which one I've seen, but I think it would be really cool if everybody else decided which waterhole is their favorite, which dam is their favorite.
Buffalo's Hook Dam is also really cool.
Igor's saying he also enjoys Buffalo's Hook. I think when you really start to think about it, it's very difficult to decide.
All of them are very cool.
I think we're just going to take last little stock of our Atlantic Ocean. The wind is going to be dropping for us tomorrow, and then hopefully we can do that picnic. So we'll look at 2 types of flowers and the tea that you can make with those flowers. So we have the lion's ear, and then we have some wild geranium that we'll be looking at tomorrow. And if we're very lucky, Igor might just give us the secret to making his very famous cup of coffee.
The Eagle coffee.
The Eagle coffee, yes.
Boot coffee.
Igor calls it boot coffee. That's his official branded term, it seems. It looks like we've got a little bit of action to finish off our show with these penguins on the rocks. On behalf of Igor and myself, we want to thank you for spending today with us. We hope that you had a wonderful time looking and seeing the otter regurgitation and our penguins, getting a couple of views of that pied kingfisher, and spending just some time with the crazy eights. So we are going to be seeing you again here tomorrow. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And on behalf of us, once again, thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon down at Penguin Beach.
Perfect penguin.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.